Hi, it's me, Giscard Adams. Surprise! I'm now using a robot voice to replace mine because my tools are way too crappy to provide a proper voiceover to my videos. I'm actually a male, but I'm using a female voice because it's soothing. Face with tears of joy. Say hi to Haley, she will be my voice from now on, or at least until I get better equipments. Relieved face. Anyway, let's hop onto the video. I'll be discussing the fat ass load of adjustments upcoming. There sure is a lot to say, so I will make two separate videos, one for survivors and one for hunters. One very important thing to keep in mind, I am not by any means a professional player and all the reactions will be my own opinion. Feel free to tell yours in the comments section, or even bitch about my opinions. At this point I'd be glad to have comments at all. Face with tears of joy. Let's start with baby Mellie. Smiling face with heart-shaped eyes. She's a really good character and I love her concept. She's a good kiter of course, but she needed some tinkering to boost the efficiency of her swarms. Finally, she will be getting that positionment buff. In the middle of a kite there's no time to position yourself in the middle of the swarm, and quite often entomologist ends up taking the hit instead of blocking it with the swarm. Now it'll be done automatically and that will be really helpful. The shape of the swarm will be adjusted too, and that will affect entomologists' play style big time. If the swarm is larger, it will now help block even bigger pathways and slow down the hunter. On the other hand, if the swarm is smaller, it will help entomologist to go with her swarm protection through narrow pathways. Also, the switching view between Mellie and her swarm is increased from 5 to 10 seconds. Doesn't sound like a buff, but whatever. A little price for better efficiency. I think it's a good and well-deserved buff. Congratulations Mel. Smiling face with heart-shaped eyes. Moving on to Ratatouille, Luca. Smiling face with open mouth and cold sweat. I personally really love the character build and the set of skills. And TBH, I really want to play Prisoner more often, but there's always someone playing him. Not mentioning that if I didn't play Rescuer, no one will. Medium skin tone facepalm. Anyway, Prisoner's connection skill is really good and can come in handy to decode far away ciphers through a closer one. But believe it or not, the overall decoding speed of the team is not really increased because the transmission loss is kind of significant. That will be reduced from 10 to 20% to 5 to 15% to give him a bit of an advantage. As decoder, Prisoner is always targeted first. Let me tell you, Prisoner's worst scenario is being found first 10 seconds of the match, before even charging the stun. Good news, Prisoner will now start the match with a charge ready to zippy zap zap. I approve this buff and I think we might, just might, see more Prisoner in tournaments. Congratulations Luca, here's some cheese for you. No? Alright then. More for Rayleigh. Wedge of cheese. Next we have a rather new character. Ganji the Batter. He's one of the hardest characters to play and requires complex techniques. You have to be a really good kiter to use him for his full potentials. You need to have almost a perfect aim and screen control. And you also need to have a detailed kiting plan because once you used all of your cricket balls you need to kite back to one of them without getting hit or leading the hunter to a cipher in progress. Let alone the rampage state, which wasn't really on point with its purpose. You have to stay still in order to use it correctly and hunters could easily wait it out. Overall, Batter is one of the character that required real skill and discipline for almost non-guaranteed results. Now, Batter will have more flexibility over his rampage state. He will be able to activate it early game, use it while moving, have an extended duration from 20 seconds to 30 seconds with additional 40% vaulting speed during the rampage, and he can now stop it at any moment. It really is a well-deserved buff, especially for a new character. Congratulations Ganji. Wait. What are you doing with Mike's bombs? No wait Ganji, that's not what you think. Damn you Giscard, I didn't sign up for this. Anyway, let's move on to another interesting buff. Postman. He's a support character by all means. He can literally give you boosts to anything at any time. And he has a bit of self-defense with his dog. It can slow the hunter and give Postman a little bit of time to transition away after using all pallets in an area. The problem is, all that is circumstantial and needs a lot of anticipation and communication to send letters ahead so they arrive on time. And the dog was kind of easy to dodge. After the buff, the maximum letter delivery time will be reduced from 12 to 5 seconds. Imagine that. So if you're close to Postman, it's 2 seconds and there you have your boost. As for the dog, he can attack faster in an even bigger radius. I'm really happy they finally paid attention to him. He really needed a buff to put his skills on point. Congratulations, Victor, smiling face with smiling eyes. And now, let's head to the biggest adjustment so far. Say hi to William Turner. I mean Jose Turner. I mean Jose Baden. Geez, I can swear his design is inspired from Pirates of the Caribbean. Anyway, First Officer is getting a whole redesign to his skill. I was interested in First Officer since his release, but the poor pirate, they do him dirty every time. I remember old days when he had 3 bucket watches, and using his hypnosis skill will literally hypnotize the hunter and make them lose sight for couple seconds while you switch positions with someone, or not. Ah, fun old days. Then they adjusted his functionality to look more like magician but with a moving illusion for 20 seconds. I have to admit it was more adaptable, but it still wasn't good enough. It comes in handy at times, but it was still circumstantial. Hunters will chase you to make you activate your skill then move away, leaving you awkwardly decode with your shadow. Although it did waste some of the hunter's time, but now you have less tools for your rescues. I have to admit, the adjustment is not easy to understand, but I'll try to explain what I managed to figure out. Here's the hunter, the red point. And here's First Officer, the blue point. The skill has 3 stages. You can activate your skill within 32 meters of the hunter. Just regular Poseidon watch, with the same 1-second image delay, nothing particular. Except, in the next 10 seconds, you have to be within 10 meters of the hunter and activate the skill again, or else, the skill will be terminated. You have to do the same thing again but within 6 meters of the hunter this time. If you do the steps correctly, your image will now be delayed for 2 seconds instead of 1. Although, I don't know how long it lasts, or if you will have to do the same thing again for every watch you use. Another very important point, if First Officer gets hit during the hypnosis, he'll activates a tide turner for himself for the next 5 seconds. As First Officer main, I have so many question marks floating above my head right now. But I'm still excited to see First Officer get his deserved rework. As one of the few rescuers in the game, he has so much responsibility to deal with but so little allowed capabilities, especially with the current meta. Next we have baby Helena, smiling face with heart-shaped eyes. The mind's eye was once high up on the tier list. Her decoding was scary, along with her tight kiting potentials due to her ability to see through walls and obstacles. But with new dangerous meta hunters coming to the manor regularly, her techniques are becoming less and less efficient. I mean, how the fuck would seeing Sculptor or Bonbon help avoiding the chips? You have a chance to counter that with transitional kiting, which isn't Helena's best option due to her slow interactions and poor self-defense. But you know what they say, if you can't go faster, make them slow down with you. Actually, no one said that, I just pulled it off my hat. So Helena's strike can now slow the hunter's interaction 14 to 30% depending on the distance. The closer the hunter is, the slower they vault. She will also be able to see further through obstacles. Finally, some love to Helena. Hopefully she'll win the game and have the prize money to continue her studies. So proud of my smartest smart girl. Now. This one is the juiciest buff so far. Edgar. Although a crappy one, but I am an artist as well. I love art and find myself in it, reason why I felt related to this character. Painter's buff is all about the painting. He can now vault while drawing, scared hunter noises. Yes indeed, one of the disciplines you have to learn as painter is when to draw and when to stop drawing to vault or drop a palette. Well, this is no more. The stun duration have been increased half a second from 3 to 3.5 seconds. And the time to put a painting down have been decreased almost half a second, from 1 to 0.6 seconds. Painter's worst scenario is when you've finished a clutch painting but you get hit while deploying it. Internally screaming so loud that brain melts. I think it's good, I'm excited to see how it turns out, but I'm kinda concerned it'll be too good. We have also teeny buffs. Eli. Seer was my very first main in the game, but I stopped long ago because there's always some other random playing him. And also because, again, no one picks up the rescuer role, face with rolling eyes. Now whenever Seer is watching someone, all the others will know. I'm not sure if it's a buff. All it does is making Seer think twice before sending the owl to stalk Fiona. Eyes. Face with stuck out tongue and tightly closed eyes. Vera. To be honest, I never played Perfumer. And I have no idea what her buff is supposed to do. Rolling on the floor laughing. But well. I know she needed a buff, we barely see her in tournaments anymore, because her perfumes are not as effective as before, since the current meta is all about chipper hunters. Lawyer. They will remove the vaulting debuffs and give him extra 10 seconds on his map time. This is honestly a good buff. It won't change much in terms of playing style, but it will for sure boost his potentials. He now doesn't have any debuffs by default. It kinda makes him the standard reference survivor. Alright, changing the plan. This seems to take forever and the video is becoming too long. And I don't have enough storage on my crappy phone. So I'll split the video into part 1, all survivors buffs, and part 2, all survivors nerfs. I'm not even sure I'll make one for the hunters because, let's be honest, no one is going to watch any of that rolling on the floor laughing. And for the few ones who do, you are me hearties and I love you hugging face.